Hi guys, Brandy here. Welcome to Sewing Back. Well, today I have a new contraption and let's hope I put it together right because it didn't come with any instructions on how to put it together. So I just had to kind of look at the picture on the box. It told me all the parts that came with it, but not necessarily how to put them all together. So I'm hoping I did it right because I'm hoping that it should help me quite a bit. So today, this is actually going to take 2 days to do. I picked up my meat share over the weekend, and I had to finally clean out the tomatoes in my freezer. And let me show you. I have bags and bags and bags and bags of tomatoes from last year's harvest. Now, while I did can a good bit of stuff coming out last year as it was coming out, I actually did videos on how to can. I did some that were water bath, and I think I did one that was a pressure can. Because if you're just doing tomatoes, you can totally do a water bath canning method. So I have some that are Mrs. Wages packs. I did a salsa one, and I did a pasta one, which I called it my pizza sauce because that's what we've used it as. And what I have learned from those is that the salsa one we don't really like for the salsa. It had like dehydrated herbs and things that came in the pack, which included some peppers and onions and garlic and stuff like that. But it was dehydrated and it was in the appropriate ratio so that you could water bath can it. But what we have found is we don't love eating it with like salsa and chips and stuff like that. It's not too terribly flavorful. And now, what was recommended was that when you got ready to use it, that you would cut up some fresh onions, peppers, and you could add that to it then. And if you did that and maybe add a little lime juice or something like that, it might be delicious. We haven't because we found another use for it. And that is in my as a chili base. I love it for that purpose. It's really great. So that's kind of what we've been using it for. But we don't eat chili. We might eat chili once a month. And so we haven't gone through the same volume like we have the Mrs. Wages pizza, or what they call pasta sauce. We call it our pizza sauce. This one we like a lot. My kids like it a lot. And it was super easy, and if all you can do is water bath can, I highly recommend it. You could totally use it as a pasta sauce, but it is really tasty on pizza. And while I could redo that one, I really wanted to attempt to make my own pizza sauce using dried herbs and things like that. And I will be using fresh onion and garlic. And so in thinking about all of the tomatoes I had to process, I purchased this little thing you see right here. And it is called a Sauce Master food strainer. I have no idea if this thing is going to make this job go any easier, but I was willing to give it a shot because processing tomatoes can be a real pain. Now, one of the ways I prepped my tomatoes were I washed them really well. I've already cored and scored them. So all I have to do literally is take the skin should slip right off. And, but when you're doing pasta sauce, you really don't want the seeds. These are not paste tomatoes. These are like, there may be some in there, but it's just a hodgepodge of tomatoes. I just had a huge abundant year last year of tomatoes, and all different kinds, different colors. And so you really want to try to get those seeds out to make for a better pizza sauce. So I bought this thing because if you try to do that by straining it and all that, it takes forever. And there's a reason that these tomatoes have been sitting in my freezer all this time. Now, I actually had intended to do this in January, but of course y'all all know we got sick, so that didn't happen. The other part of this, which will be part 2, is when we can these up, I got a new canner. I will be using my original canner, which is my Presto, I think it's 22 quart. I think that's what it is, 22 quart. I'll have to check. But I can put it on my gas stove top, cooks. It's wonderful. But I invested in, with some birthday money and stuff like that, I purchased the electric pressure canner by Nesco. There's a couple different varieties out on the market. I did a good bit of research, and I would tell you to do the same if you're thinking about an electric pressure canner. I don't know how I'm gonna like it yet, but I wasn't looking for one to replace my other one. I really was looking for another one because I need another one when everything's coming in and I'm trying to can, because it's kind of the pits if you have like 4 or 5 cans when you're canning a large batch, and you're gonna have to do a second batch on your stove, and you kind of, in some ways, you kind of got to start over. So I thought if I got one of these electric ones, that between the two, I could get through my canning processes a little bit faster, was my hope. And if I had smaller jobs, I could totally use the electric one versus the big Presto one that I have to sit on my stove and I have to babysit constantly. It's not that the electric ones are hands off, it is that they are a little more self-contained, but you're definitely canning on a smaller scale. Now, if you live at a high altitude, based off of what I read, I would tell you to do your own research. These electric canners are not necessarily, for pressure canning, are not recommended for high altitudes unless something has changed in the last few months. Okay, when I was doing my reading, the USDA do not recommend them because of that they have a fail rate with sealing. And it was one of the reasons I did get the Nesco, because the Nesco actually has the weight that you put on the canner. Now, I live at below sea level, so I don't have an issue with that. But if you're someone and you're watching this and you might have that, you really want to read up on that. But the other part I really liked about the electric canner, or the idea of it, is a lot of people have cooktops where they can't put the pressure canners on their stovetop. And that's just what they have. And you know, being able to have an electric pressure canner could really open up a whole new world for them. So I really just wanted to try it out, see how it was, how user-friendly it was. I'm going to be totally honest. I may hate it. I don't know. I may hate this thing. I'm hoping not. I'm hoping this is going to make this process a little bit more easier. Okay, guys. Well, this is pretty good. It's starting to come out this side, so I don't know if this is the best pan, but it was the one low enough to catch stuff for where this has to sit on my table. I will tell you that when you're doing this, it's helpful to have a bowl underneath, kind of on the floor. It gets kind of messy. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a little bowl right inside this pan that can catch this. This is what you don't want. You can dehydrate that if you want to make it into a powder so you can thicken any kind of, you know, tomato type thing. I've done that before. It does take a long time, and I'm sure that it thickens it up. I haven't noticed it being like, that's amazing to me. I prefer just to have tomato paste that I can get for those times that I need that. So maybe it's different. Maybe I haven't used enough. Maybe you've had a different experience. I'm not saying mine's right, yours is wrong. I'm just telling you what I have found. All right. Okay, I think what I'm going to do with my seeds and stuff, I got a little junk bowl over here. I'm just going to give that to the chickens because they will totally appreciate that. All right, let's see. You really have to use the little stopper thing. That's what really helps, but it also makes for the mess that comes out a little bit on the side. I just put a bowl down there and we're going with it. Let me scoot that back. There we go. But you can use this little contraption to do, it has like different guards and things you can buy to go with it, attachments, so that you can do like, if you're doing like muscadines, it'll do the seeds and stuff for you. And that was kind of labor intensive. So there's a lot of little things like that. Okay guys, I told you I would be honest about what I thought about this thing. And the first 2 bags were great. The 3rd bag, I started having problems. And this is a mess. It's a mess. I have a lot more bags to do, and I am really getting tired of fooling with this thing. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to get out my Vitamix and I'm just going to start blending it, and then I'm going to put it through. Do you see that little handy dandy thing over there? Yeah, that thing right there. And I'm just going to catch the seeds in that. I'm peeling the skins off to take to the chickens. Because if you see, this got stuck. Hold on. That got stuck in the hopper. That's a lot of tomatoes that I couldn't get out of there because it got clogged up. I don't know. I've already taken it apart. It is a mess. Not loving this. If you love this, great. I do wonder if I had paste tomatoes or if I was using fresh tomatoes from the garden. I may give it, because I've already bought it, so I'll probably give it another try with some fresh stuff this year. But yeah, this is the pits. I'm not liking this. So I'm going to put my Vitamix to work. So I wanted to be honest and transparent. If I would have known it was going to be like this, I wouldn't have bought this thing. So, and I watched videos too, and I heard how many people said it was great. And it was great for the first 2 bags. And then it's like, I have like 20 bags of tomatoes. I do not want to take this thing apart every 2 bags of tomatoes. So we're going old school, which for me means I'm just going to take the skins, just slip off. So I'm slipping off the skins, putting it in the Vitamix, and then I'll just let it go through that thing as best I can so I can get as much of the tomatoes as possible. Everything else will go to the chickens. And that's how this girl's going to roll, because I got to get to dinner soon and this is taking forever. Okay guys, I just did some in the Vitamix. I peeled the skins off, and now I'm just going to put them through here, and if some seeds get in, then some seeds get in. We'll live with it, because that other thing is the pits. Like I said, it may be totally different if these were fresh. These aren't, and some of them are still kind of frozen. And this is probably not fun either, but It is what it is. Okay guys, I think I figured it out. To be fair to the machine, I will attempt to use it when I have fresh tomatoes. Some of my tomatoes are still very frozen. I filled up this bowl full of the sauce that I was able to get out of the little machine thing there, and my Vitamix, but the other ones, the tomatoes are just not totally thawed out, and I'm tired of fooling with it right now. I need to get on to dinner. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna allow, because I still have more bags of them, they're just not all thawed out. So I'm gonna allow those to thaw out more tonight, and tomorrow I'm probably just gonna use the Vitamix because it's so much faster. Honestly, I think it pulverizes a lot of the seeds. I have plenty to go feed my chickens, which I'm fixing to go do before it gets too late. And I'll give that thing a try again this summer when I start getting tomatoes that are fresh, that have not been frozen, because when I took the machinery apart, the frozen tomatoes were just totally locked up in there. So I think that's probably why it went really great the first couple batches, and then as I got more into it, it just got locked up, and no human wants to take that thing apart, put it back together. No. So I'm not going to say it's a total loss until I try it again with fresh tomatoes, but if you're using ones from the freezer that may still not be totally thawed, yeah, I won't do that ever again. So with that, this video will be continued. I'll see you tomorrow and we'll pick back up. See you then. Alright guys, welcome back to trying to make some homemade pizza sauce. In my Dutch oven here, I have I have about half a cup of olive oil, and I'm going to start heating this up because I need to saute about 6 cups of chopped onion and about 12 cloves of minced garlic. And so I'm going to get this going, get it warming up, and I'm going to continue. I've already got about 4 cups of onions chopped. You can see that. But I've got to I probably need to do one more. Odie's playing with his toy, so that's the background noise. Alright guys, we're going to go ahead and get the onions going. I like to add my garlic towards the end. I didn't quite get the sizzle I thought I would. Oh well. And I don't know that I'm going to mince my garlic. I think I'm just going to kind of crush it. I got the peeled cloves of garlic for this because I'm not real thrilled with the minced stuff you buy in the jar. So I have a feeling this is going to take a minute. I might should have used a bigger pan, but we'll see. So all I'm doing is I'm taking a clove of garlic and I'm just smashing it like that, and then I'm just doing like a rough chop. I don't want huge pieces, but I don't need little tiny pieces either. And so all this garlic I'm going to put in to this sauce. It'll be good and garlicky. And that's what I'm going to do while the onions are getting happy. Alright guys, my onions are pretty translucent looking. They smell good. And now I'm going to add all this garlic. I'm just going to kind of stir that. I've got this kind of on a, I guess I put it medium. Because it's olive oil, I don't want it to scorch or burn. Whew, that's going to be good, I think. Now, one thing that is not called for in this recipe, that because I am pressure canning this, that I'm going to put in are some of my dehydrated green bell peppers. I really like this flavor. These were the emerald green variety I got, and I want to put some of that in there because I really like green bell peppers in my any kind of Italian type sauce. You may not like that, and if you don't, okay. And I know a lot of people who don't particularly care, they don't think they have a lot of flavor, but a homegrown bell pepper has amazing flavor. It doesn't taste like what you get in the store. I would almost say it's even more so than even a tomato to me. Whew, that smells really good. So I'm going to bring you up overhead and let you see, because I'm about ready to be done with this part so I can put everything into my big roaster pan where it will be happy this evening. Alright, so let me show you. So that's just all this is the olive oil with the onion, and I did add this green bell pepper. And the only reason I'm okay doing this is because I already know that I am going to totally pressure can these. So if you're going to water bath pan, probably shouldn't. You should probably stick to the recipe at hand, and I will link it in the description. Okay guys, so you can see I still have like big tomatoes. The majority has been pureed, and I'm gonna put my emulsion blender in here once it's done to smooth it out because of the onions and garlic and all that good stuff, because I don't want big chunks of onion. I just want the flavor. So the next part, I'm fixing to add the onions and garlic that we did on the stovetop to this pan, and then we have dry spices that we need to add to it. Guys, so I'm going to go ahead and do the spices first, and then we'll put the other in. So I need 4 tablespoons of salt, 4. I need 2 of sugar. It does say you can use honey. I don't know why you would use honey, because the benefit I would think of honey would be that it's raw and you're going to cook it. So I'm just doing some organic sugar. It calls for 2 tablespoons of sugar. Alright. Okay. So we have to have 4 tablespoons of dried basil, 1, 2, 3, 4, which came up in a 0.5 ounce jar to be about half. Alright, then we need 2 tablespoons of dried oregano. 1, 2. Then we need thyme, and I need 2 tablespoons of that. Okay. Then we need black pepper. I'm going to save that one for the very last because it'll make me sneeze. Alright, pepper flakes. It says teaspoons. It says up to 4 teaspoons. So let me get my teaspoon. 1. I think I'm going to do 3. 3. That was almost 4. And then the last one was the black pepper, and that's 2 tablespoons of black pepper. 1, 2. Alright, so let me see if I can get you overhead. Hold on. Oh, sorry. Alright, so I'm just gonna mix all of this up. That's a lot of spices. Alright, my next thing is going to be to add in the onion and garlic and the green bell pepper. Now we're going to add all this onion, garlic, and green bell pepper. It looks really like a nice tasty marinara right now. So, but you can see there's still whole tomatoes. So I'm just going to let this stuff go low and slow tonight. I will do the immersion blender. And then I'll bring you along tomorrow and we're going to can these up. We'll pressure can them. We're going to do the original pressure canner. And I'll also demonstrate, for the first time we'll be doing it together, my new, Lord willing, Nesco electric canner. I'm excited to give it a try. So, one more day. 3-day project. But that's okay. Sometimes these projects are nice because they're kind of tedious, parts of them, and it just kind of breaks it down, and that I can just put this in my roaster pan. If you don't have a roaster pan, you could totally do this, because I doubled this recipe. You could totally do this in like your crock pot. That would work as well. But this would be too much, I think, for the size crock pot that I have. So this is going to work out just fine. And I will see you tomorrow.